Life can bring us accidents, like what happened to me at the beginning of the summer and my broken toe. But what matters is how we respond to these accidents and how we address it, the perspective that we take. Because with anything, we can see an accident as a setback, or we can see an accident as a setup for growth or wisdom. So, at the beginning of the summer, I was really having a great time, enjoying myself in lovely Bermuda, and I went out for a kayak one day with my nieces. All of a sudden, we were getting the kayaks ready to go, and bang, it comes down on my big toe, on my right foot. So this was my second last day of holiday, and I knew right away it was broken. I could feel the pain, and I just kind of walked away, breathed really deeply, and then we still went for a kayak. Later that day, it got black and blue. And again, I knew it was broken. I was having difficulty walking on it. So at that moment when it happened, number one, what was I going to do? Was I going to blame my niece? I felt that I had to look at the situation. Why did the kayak fall? Number one, there was a lack of communication. And number two, this is what happened. I wasn't paying as close attention. So this can seem like a simple incident, but for me, it really got me to thinking a lot over the summer because I love to walk. I love to be outdoors. I love to do hiking. And that was my plan. I was going to have a long hike this summer with a friend. So that was out of the question because trying to walk with your big toe broken is not a very easy thing. So I complained for a little while. I got a walking boot. It wasn't comfortable. And then I said, okay, Tiffany, I'm going to need to treat my body with a little bit of TLC. And this is when the switch happened for me. So instead of saying, why me? Why wasn't I ready? Why wasn't I holding the canoe strong enough? I had to say, what is this teaching me? So I actually had a little conversation with my body. And, many nights when I'd be up because my toe was aching, I would say, okay, body, you have a broken toe. What is it that you want me to know? And it was funny. The message that I got back from my body was, Tiffany, slow down a little bit. Just because summer's coming up, it doesn't mean that you have to be so busy and running around all the time. Think about being present. When my toe was like this, I minimized the amount of walking that I could do, but I could still stand. I could still do my breathing exercises. So it got me to focus back on the present moment. So what was it really teaching me? That the accident wasn't really defining the story. It's always the meaning that we give to it. So many times when something happens to us, whether we spill our cup of coffee, whether we're late to pick somebody up because we forgot about it, we can just take a moment first to pause. And in that moment of pause, we can create a little bit of space before we make a judgment. Because I think if you're like me, very often we are our own worst critics, right? And we'll say, well, why did I do this? There's got to be something wrong with me. But taking that moment to pause and reflect can help. Then you can help by asking yourself maybe a new question. So instead of why me, to ask what possibility exists here from what happened. Now, this is a really hard switch to take. But when we start to reframe it this way, then life, no matter what is happening to us, can take on so much meaning. And then adding in, so gratitude and saying, so what is one thing that I can be thankful for in this situation? So for me, I still got in the kayak. I was in beautiful Bermuda. My nieces and I had amazing time at the water. And I think the cortisol driving me meant that I didn't have much pain for that time that I was out on the water with them. So I still found time to be thankful in the midst of this pain and this broken toe. So I want to know from you, have you ever had setbacks? And have you been able to look and turn it into something that has been a set up for something better rather than something that is setting you back? One of the things that I see so often with patients is we hold on to this story that we tell ourselves. We kind of ruminate in the past. It could be a broken toe. It could be a broken arm. It could be a relationship that failed. It could be not passing an exam. It could be losing a job. It could be losing a loved one. But we get caught up in this story of what if, and that I'm set back in my life. But what if you can think that this was a setup for me? This is a setup for my growth. This was a setup for my wisdom. So I'd like you to think a little bit about that in your life. So think about that now, or maybe take a little time this week to reflect a little bit on it. So in the past 3 months, is there a setback that I've had? And if there's a setback that I've had, maybe just take time, whether you journal or you just want to think about it. So what is something that seemed to go really wrong in my life? And then maybe just take a few moments and say, from this accident, from this situation, from this disruption that happened in my life, am I going to choose to let this stop me? Or am I going to let this set me up for something new in my life? And for allowing something new to come in from the situation that I've been through. Always remember, it is our perception of that situation. And I want you to see and share with me if you feel something that's gone wrong and how you've been able to turn it around on the other side. As always, hoping the best for you. I always come here to share stories so that I can hope to inspire you on your life. I know it can be challenging at times, as it was for me this summer, not being able to do what I wanted. But I know many of you are struggling with other deeper, greater challenges. But together, when we take a little time to pause, when we take a little time to regroup, then we take time to reflect, to have a little bit of self-compassion and say, it's going to be okay, then this is going to get you through this next phase. Hope you're all having a wonderful day. Bye for now.